guys of the world. I like the groove is hot and real obvious, but I like the words. I like the sentiment, what it's saying. You know, to put out a positive vibe like that.
I went to sleep with Eyes of the World in my head 2 nights ago after our show. Woke up with it in my head in the morning, sang it all day long, and went to bed again with it.
Oh, you got locked into it.
We had a whole disco biscuit show in between there. I came upstairs and was just... Eyes of the World. That's a catchy ditty.
You know, those are just songs, and they're places to go from and to someplace else. It's how you play them. It's not about so much about the songs. I love any song I play really well, or we really play well, is my favorite song. And that's why we didn't end songs. We never really had endings and stuff, because we just wanted it to, you know, morph into something else. Besides us not remembering what we did.
That's really important. That's very important, because my favorite songs were the ones we'd be in these heavy-duty jams and go, oh heck, what song is this? I would completely forget what song it was.
I've done that myself.
Isn't that a fun thing? I wish I knew how to do that better.
I used to have this thought. I used to have this thought where I wouldn't let myself look at my hands,
Right.
because then I would screw up where I was playing. So I would just look somewhere else and not think about anything, and the hands would just do it.
Now, Ariella has a question. It's important that we remember that we're here for HeadCount, which all of you guys are well aware of as an organization. Mark Bronson helped, he started it actually with Andy Bernstein. The question is, what inspired you guys to start and be involved with HeadCount? And I'd like that if Mark could start this answer.
I think that there was just a general frustration with the way that the country was being run, and we felt that there was a gigantic disconnect between the government and the people. And we wanted to, and I felt specifically, and Andy I know did too, that in the early 2000s, there was a lot of apathy in the music scene. There wasn't a lot of, there were people talking about politics in the music scene, and it's sort of, the social activism had sort of drifted away out of the concert world, and we felt like we had the ability to connect with people, and through all of the different musicians that we knew, and the managers, and the festival owners and promoters, we felt like we were in a pretty good position to bring people together and get the scene back on that path, to get kids engaged again. So that's what we're still trying to do every day.
Okay.
I know with the Grateful Dead, you guys are always sort of an apolitical band, because of course music unites. So music unites, and so you often had politics be sort of like, let's just first all be united first and deal with that, and you kind of were political by example of the lifestyle that you led and all of that. Billy, I know that you have some issues that are very, very important to you. The other night on stage, you wore a shirt that said, "I want you to grow hemp."
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that?
Well, yeah, it's a problem we're having on Kauai now. I live on the island of Kauai, right? And there's more poison companies there. Syngenta, Dow Chemical, Bayer's there, Monsanto's there under different names. They've taken the whole west side of Kauai, one of the most beautiful islands in the whole chain, and decimated it. It's completely red, burnt dirt now. And they sprayed these poisons, tons, like 30 tons of this stuff a year. And a lot of them are restricted use pesticides that you have to get very special permits for to use. And they're spraying these upwind of schools, hospitals, 2 hospitals for sure, a big school, and they're getting away with it. So the people of Kauai, my friends, everybody joined together. There was no separation of race, locals, or Hollies, or none of that. Everybody came together, and we passed a resolution to get these guys out of there, where they had to say what they were spraying. They had to have a 500-foot boundary, and a bunch of other very cool things to protect us. Okay. They came back, and now they're suing us. They're suing us because they say that we don't have a right to vote. We can't vote that out. So if you guys talk about that, look it up. It's something that it's just. And basically, what's happening, this is the downside, is what's being grown over there is being sold over here in America, the different corns and stuff. You've heard about the corns that they die, you can't replant the seed. You've heard all about Monsanto. This comes from Kauai. I first moved there. I'm so naive. I moved there and said, oh, what nice cornfields these are. Oh, beautiful. So that's the thing he's talking about.
And also politically, can you talk about your standpoint on growing hemp?
Growing hemp would be a great way to remediate the land that's been so poisoned by all these sprays. Hemp actually is a sponge, and the root system of hemp sucks everything up out of the ground. Now, I'm not going to be using that hemp for anything. Well, at least you don't smoke hemp. But I might make some sales out of it or something. You know? But if we could replace the seed companies, the poison companies, with things that use hemp to make products. There's a billion good hemp products. I've seen Steve Parrish once showed me speaker caps made out of hemp. You name it. You can make everything. With 3D printers now, loaded with hemp, with a hemp oil. Wow. And so that's what I would like to see happen on Kauai. I like to see it remediated with hemp, and that's why I wear that shirt and long lecture.
I was just informed we have 2 or 3 more questions. So this one comes from Jason Victor, and this is interesting. I'm going to direct this towards the Disco Biscuits, but if either of those guys want to answer, they can as well. And that's it. First of all, as a fan of both of your bands, it's been a dream to see this collaboration happen. And one of the things that's so cool about it is exactly as I was saying, despite, you come from a very similar lineage, but at the same time the bands are very unique and very different. So the question that Jason Victor has is if you could sit on a gig from any other band that you haven't yet or getting a chance to, basically if you could collaborate with anybody else, who would that band be?
Drummers of the Grateful Dead.
We're here, man.
We're doing it.
Dreaming about this our whole lives. We're here.
We're already there, bro.
This question comes from Dave Singer, and it's directed towards Bill, although Mickey, I imagine that you want to weigh in on this as well. Another thing that both the Disco Biscuits and the Grateful Dead have done so incredibly well is taken, instead of the traditional song form, they've kind of blown it wide open. They do time changes. They really, when we say we push the boundaries, they're not pushing the boundaries, they're knocking them right over. Now with the Grateful Dead, there was a period when they were rehearsing. They had this little theater in Ventura Hill, and they also had a rehearsal space next to the original Fillmore, where they used to come up with songs like the 11, where they were taking time signatures and really doing things with them that had never been done in rock and roll before. So the question is, originally directed to Bill from Dave Singer out there, can you talk about the time changes and playing tunes like the 11 and playing in the band, and is it difficult to play something with those time changes in it?
Well, that's more than one question. The first thing was very proud that you connected the Portrayal Theater with the 11 because that's where we learned it. That's where I think Mickey brought it in with Phil. And this is blame him. But it's really great. There's a little funny thing. Benji, should we talk about the band that used the 11 as an intro?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Tell me the name of the song.
Yeah, Whipping Post.
Whipping Post, right. The intro to Whipping Post is 11. Okay, and they play it as a riff, and as soon as the vocal starts, they go into 12/8. We don't do that. We keep it in 11, and then we play 4/4 against that 11, and that will work out sometimes. But you can break it up. We break it up into 3 3s and a 2. You have some more.
11 bars, 12 bars of 11. That's how we do it. We revolve these different time changes. Like in playing in the band is in 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these things stay within the 8th note, but they're danceable, but they still are what you call odd times. But they're really not odd. They're really just, your ear is not stretched enough to hear those things. To us, it's not odd. We play this, or to anybody who practiced Dave's schools. I'm after you. I'm getting to you next. Hey, Dave! Okay.
Now about the other part of that question, was it hard to learn to play in times? You just kept doing it until it felt really good. And you never think about it as being hard. You just wait till the good feeling came. I actually, when I practice by myself at home, I'm doing something new, and it's not quite right at first. I just wait till I feel really relaxed, and that's how the band does any kind of time. Because you know when it's working, and you know damn well when it's not working.
It's interesting because playing the band sounds like it's in 4. I never even realized
because it's in doublets. It's in 2s. It's in 5/2. It's 10. It just feels
lose as it is, even though.
Estimated profit is another example of that.
Estimated profit, that's a fun story. Can I raise that story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bob Weir brought estimated profit in to the new song to learn. And he had to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I went, there you go. There's no way that's gonna rock. You can't count quick sevens, right? 7, 8, or that would be 7, 4. You can't count it like that. So I went home, it was raining on, I stood in front of the fireplace. And I just made my body go, okay, it's in 7, it lands on this way. How about making it in 14? Because then it's doublets. So we worked it out to make it a 2-bar phrase of 7. And that's what estimated profit is. That way you can dance to it. But it's still in 7/4, or 7/4. That's how you do it. I just make sure that my body...
Will you hear that tonight?
Yes.
Sure, we'll jam it somewhere.
You guys have your work cut out for you. Okay, so we have time for one last question. This comes from Mark. And I'd like it if as many of you guys could answer this as possible. This brings it all the way back to HeadCount. And that is, in this upcoming election cycle, what is the most important issue to you guys personally for this next election? Any and all of you guys.
Well, I'd like to lead that off.
Yeah.
You understand that there's a fellow by the name of Scoop Disker. He was a personality, Zen kind of guy from San Francisco radio host. And he said something once and I never forgot. He used to sign off, if you don't like the news, go out and make some of your own. That's what he said. And so it's a birthright to growth. You know, this is the one power that you really have. If you don't like the way things are going, you go out there and you make it better. Vote is one way to do it. It's so important. You know, it's before we would think that politics, when music was first, and then politics. You know, because politics could never reign supreme over music. But after a while, we realized that we couldn't play free music in a free society without freedom, okay? And that comes with your vote. So that's what's the most important thing for me, is to recognize. I didn't vote for years, man, for years, until I realized this very thing, that this is one of the most important things you have. Grateful Dead could not exist now. We could not do the things that we did in this environment. In 2000, it would be very difficult for us to...
I can't imagine you coming close.
No, you know, especially if you're a little on the outlaw side. You know, and there was no... This is, you know, a lot of stuff that we did was not...
We had Grateful Dead patches.
Yeah. So, it was not, Grateful Dead was not a Girl Scout troop. But anyway, that's really the message.
We meditated a lot.
You gotta vote. You don't have really any option.
Yeah, and I think to add on to that, it becomes so much more important in the midterm election, because I think what we've seen over the last 4 to 6 years has been complete and utter gridlock in Washington, where absolutely nothing happens. And the reason that nothing happens is because you have a Congress that has an under 10% approval rating, but then like a 90% rate of incumbency, like re-election. So the reason that happens is because nobody shows up to vote on the day. People can disapprove of what the government's doing, but it's not just every 4 years that the election happens. And the rate of drop-off between the presidential election and the midterm election is vast and extreme, especially amongst young people. Especially, it gets down to where, you know, a very small percentage of the people are showing up to vote, and then we spend 4 to 6 years complaining about how Washington can't accomplish anything because we've allowed, through gerrymandering and other situations, these people to basically re-elect themselves into Congress for generation after generation, and they're not representing us the way that we want to be represented. So
don't you feel like both sides are kind of the same? Republican, Democrat?
They're the same restaurant on the opposite sides of the highway.
If you look at how many people don't vote,
And we're not even on the highway.
but why? The reason we're not on the highway is because we're not showing up. You know, if the people in the middle who felt the way, everybody sort of feels the same way. Well, right now, specifically and especially, nobody likes the Republicans. Nobody likes the Democrats. Everybody sort of has a feeling of I almost feel like there is a third party there that's not showing up to be represented, and that's why it's so important.
The Green Party.
Yes,
I mean, I think that you could look at it in rhythmic terms, because there's no rhythm in Washington. The Democrats do not talk to Republicans. Republicans do not talk to Democrats. They lost the groove.
And the harmony.
And they used to talk. With Tip O'Neill, they used to go out and drinks after, you know, they would fight all day and they made nice at night. That doesn't happen anymore in Washington. They just go home. Because everybody is just gridlocked and it's just, there's no rhythm. It's dead. You know,
Atonal,
no pulse. No
Bring those sticks in there, make you stop pounding on those heads.
Well, if we can get Congress and the Senate to drum together, I bet you would be a lot different.
Good
message.
You guys are in for a special treat tonight. Once again, a hand for the
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all very much for HeadCount tonight. We're going to have dinner and artist catering out, and we do need to walk together there as a group. Thank you guys.